And I am live. So today is 19th of July, Saturday, and today is also a contest. So that would be crazy. Contest number 1038 on code forces. And let's just begin solving 1100 level questions. There we go. And yes, you guys can see the screen. That is cool. And that is me. Let me stop myself. And this is something that I was doing, practicing. Tmux ls. Let me increase the size. Here, Tmux attach CP code competitive programming, and I don't know why this is happening, but sometimes the screen size reduces and I'm only seeing this in like the top left half quarter of the screen. I don't know, that is crazy. And now on to CP31. Yesterday we did building an aquarium, we did 2D traveling, we did cardboard for pictures, and one at coders question on dynamic programming, which was easy. I think I got the wrong answer for that one. And there was some runtime error in that question. Now today we have to do this, and let's go. Yep, this is also working. Wait, which folder am I in? Let's go in the correct folder. CD 100 ls, and would there be a simpler, faster way to upload my solution to code forces? Like, can I build something through which I can like upload the question? Introduction with code forces API, you can get access to some of our data. Not that I can upload it. Fastest way to upload solution to code forces. I think there is no copy paste your code into the submission box after selecting the appropriate language. You can also upload files, so these seem to be the only options. First, copy paste, and also uploading files. Upload files. After submission, the platform will automatically redirect you to the status page where you can see the verdict of your submission. That would seem like to be the only solution, only way. Two ways: either I copy paste my solution, or I copy paste my solution or upload the file. Now onto this. Tenzing received 3 N books from his fans. Books are arranged in 3 stacks with N books in each stack. Each book has a non-negative integer difficulty rating. Tenzing wants to read some books, possibly 0 books. At first, his knowledge is 0. Okay, to read the books, Tenzing will choose a non-empty stack. Okay, a non-empty stack. Read the book on the top of the stack and then discard the book. If Tenzing's knowledge is currently U, then his knowledge will become Zor. This is or after reading a book with a difficulty rating V. Okay, here this denotes bitwise OR operation. Note that Tenzing can stop reading books whenever he wants. Okay, Tenzing's favorite number is X. Can you help Tenzing check if it is possible for his knowledge to become X? So initially his knowledge is 0, and I need some way for his knowledge to become X. Okay, and his knowledge is only changing after reading a book that is at the top of the stack. So I have 3 stacks from of size n. Okay, 5, and this is, I suppose, X, his favorite number. Okay, let's see. So how would should yeah, here. Hmm. Tenzing and books. N and X. CNN and X. And then I have three stacks. So XOR is the only way. Okay. Only operation that is changing the knowledge. And I want it to become X. And if I were, okay, so I need to find a sequence starting from the top. Shit, it is kind of difficult. N into N into N. If I go about this randomly, then it would become N cube time complexity, which is bad. N. So whenever I am adding a book, I bits, right? Bits, manipulation of bits, taking bitwise or operation. This or this and 0. We are starting at 0 and 1 becomes 1. It will remain 1. Okay. When I am taking OR of two numbers, it will never decrease. It will only increase. Okay. And okay. 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 Basically draw. Let's say the target is 12 and in binary that would be 8 plus 4 and that would be represented by if I'm using how many bits are 0 for 1 0 for 2 1 here and then 1 here, right? 0 2 4 8 4 plus 8 12. I want this, then I need to take OR of only numbers who have these bits on and not any other numbers. And if my stack is something like not 3, if this bit is off, hmm, okay. Output yes if that is possible and no without quotes otherwise. Okay, so if I am taking this thing as my example, make it white. If this is the thing that I'm going with, then I need to reach 7, 7 and 7 in binary is represented by 1 z 1 plus 2 plus 4, so 111. Yes, okay, shit, yes, 7, of course, 111. 7 is 111 and I can take XOR of any number. I can include, I can take OR with any number from the stack which has only one of these bits on, and if it has some other bit on, that will not be included. And if it, if a number has some of these bits off, that also does not matter. Only these bits on, one of these can be on. So how do I have to find a condition which would tell me if this number is suitable or not, and I will do that for all the numbers in the stack, in all the stack, starting from the top of the stacks and going below. Okay. And how would I go about it? Because if a bit is 1, then it will never become 0 by taking OR of it with any number. Uh, So this is my number 111, which is 7, and I need to pass a number like this. So I only pass it if it has 1 where it has 1, and 1 0 does not matter, but if it has 1 someplace else where there is 0 here, then that is bad and I will not take that number. So I could, what could I do here? Teaser, no, taking OR of these two number and then seeing if it is greater than this number. That could be one thing. I think, yes, yes, that is cool. That is cool. Uh, uh, yeah, I think that would be cool. Okay, so yes, now I have a solution in my head. And okay, do I want to store the numbers? What is the value of n, maximum value of n, 10 power 5? I can store the numbers. That is cool. VIA, size n, and VN and CN, and then take all of them in. I 0 n Q AI, and here replace this would be this with C, and bool e equals true initially, and while int I equals 0 initially, and while x equals x, or bitwise or with AI. What do I do? And yes, I will also have my running number Rn equals 0, Rn or equals AI, and also of course yes, I plus plus, and then replace with B, I plus plus, and also that, and I lower than n here also, and I lower than n, and I lower than n. This is B, this is B. Replace with C, and at the end, if Rn equal x, then see out yes with the new line, else see out no. Okay, wrong, right answer. That is cool. That is cool. Select all. Submit. I think that will work. That should not cause any problem. Yo, shit. That can cause some problems. Shit, 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 shit. Wrong. Found zero. Wrong answer. First token in the second one. Okay. Yeah. 5, 2, and 1. There are 3 stacks. 5, 2, and 1. Answer should be yes, because I can just take 1 from there. Found no. Why did you found no? 5, 3, and 1. So this Rn is 0, and if x equals x XOR with AI, which is 5 at this point, and n is 1, n is n is 1, yes, n is 1. 5, 2, 3, let's see. Clang B, what was the name of the question? Tenzing, not slash out. One test case, which is this, and answer is no, due to some reason. Why? 5 to 1. So AI is 5 and X is 1. So 5 XOR 1 or 1 be 5 would be 5, and 5 is not equal to X, right? So I do not do this. I move on and I do not do this because 2 or 1 is 2 or 1 is 2. So I do not do this. I move on, and here 1 or 1 is 1, and that is equal to X, and I is 0, which is shit, because I am stupid. Shit. Now it should work. Clang dot slash out. 1, 1, 3, 5, 2, 1. Yes, yeah, that is cool. And select all. It should work this time, I think. Let's see. I think it will work. Yeah. The only mistake was this implementation mistake. And it is very silly to make this kind of mistake. Accepted. That is cool. Now moving on to the next. Maximum sum. Neeraj Patel, which language, buddy? C++. This is C++. And you are given an array A1 to AN where all elements are different. You have to perform exactly k operations with it. During each operation, you do exactly one of the following two actions. You choose which to do yourself. Exactly one. Okay. Find two minimum elements in the array and delete them. Find the maximum element, single maximum element in the array and delete it. You have to calculate the maximum possible sum of elements in the resulting array. Okay, you have to find the maximum possible sum of the elements in the array. That is easy. That is easy. That seems easy. Boilerplate. Yeah, how is the input given? First I have n and k and then the array. Okay, and n, k, and cn, n, k, and then vi, a, n, I0, n, a, I, and then while k minus minus or I0, k, run a loop, k times, and then c. Okay, int s equals 0, and while I'm doing this, let me do this. S plus equals ai, and if a0, shit, I have to also sort this because I'm looking for the smallest and the largest number. Can I sort this? K is maximum this, n is maximum 10 power 5. I have the liberty to sort this array. So sort all of A and then the smallest two and the largest. Okay, so I would need integers. S is smallest starting at 0 and largest is starting at n minus 1. Okay, I already have a s. Let's make it left and right. Left and right. If a l if al plus al plus 1 is lower than a r, then s minus a l plus a l plus 1. And is it given, uh, and 2k is, n is always less than 2k, so that I can always remove the first two elements, so that is cool. That's cool. Then do this, and one more thing, l plus equals 2, and else s minus equals the last element, or right from the right, and r minus minus. That is that correct? Is that cool? I think this, then this, this, then this. This seems correct. Then C out. Yes. Let's see. Running and wrong answer. Okay. Only for this one. Everything else is correct. This is for second last one, which is this. So in the starting is smallest is 10 and 11. I have to do operation twice. So the smallest is 10 and 11. And I'm using a greedy algorithm, and the maximum is 22. Shit. So I remove 10 and 11. And then the next smallest are this and this. Mm, shit. So then I remove 22. But if I were to remove 22 and then 15 instead of going with 10 and 11 first, then I would have gotten a better choice. Shit. Okay. So greedy algorithm would not work here. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I have to think of something more innovative than this. I am given an array, and let's say I have already sorted the array in ascending order, and the smaller elements are here and the larger elements are here. Then I have k number of operations. Let's say k equals 3. So if I were to take, so two extremes would be I were to take all the smaller elements, and if I'm taking a smaller elements, I have to take two at one time. So if I were to do all of these k operations on the smaller elements, I would remove all of these elements. But if I were to do the same operation on the larger elements thrice, it would only remove the last three elements. These are the two extremes, and my answer lies between these two. So, shit, maybe I could just do a loop k times, and k is at max this much 10,000, like approximately 100,000 10 power 5. So time complexity would be going from 0 to 10 power 5 10, and I also took time in sorting, so it would be, it would take log n log n is 10 power 5 at maximum, and n log n into k, and k is also 10 power 5 at maximum, so that would be 10 power 10, and that could be bad. Mm, that could be bad. That could take more time than I could give it. Mm, and but shit, I'm already running a loop k times, so fuck. Okay, and if I'm doing this, I would also need accumulative sum array to find the sum of sequences. Shit, so vi accumulative sum of size n, and initial element initially 0, let's say n plus 1, and k is 0 equals 0. I don't think I have to do this, but yeah, I don't have to do this. I have a default constructor in a vector, so after this is I plus equals ai, and I don't even have to do this. This is cool because they are initialized at 0, so I can just do this, add the current element plus the last one. So okay, I do have to do this. I plus 1 and add this plus as accumulative sum I. Okay, then sort a and then run a loop, and I need to find if the value of I means all the numbers that I have taken from the end, and k minus I would be the numbers that I have taken from the, I would mean the number of operations I have done on the smaller elements, and k minus I would mean the number of operations I have done on the larger elements. Okay, and I starts at 0 and goes up till k. So if I is 0, and sum, okay, I can remove this, this and paste this. Sum is initially 0. So for a given value of I, what would be the sum if I have done I operations on the smaller elements and k minus I operations on the larger elements? The sum would be the sum of I int 2 elements from the start and k minus I elements from the end. So int start is as I into 2. If I is 2, if I is 1, I have done one operation on the start, at the start. Yes, because as is one indexed, right? And as 0 is 0. So this is cool. And if I is 1, I into 2 would become 2 and as2 would give me the sum of the first two elements. So that is cool. Int end would be as k minus I k. That is shit. That does not mean anything. Int the whole sum, which would be n minus the remaining elements, uh, minus a n minus k minus I k minus I n total number of elements, let's say 7, and I have done one operation from the end. If I have done one operation from the end, that would be k minus 1. So 7 minus 1 elements, 6, get the sum of the first 6 elements and subtract that from the sum of all the elements. That would give me the sum of the 7th element. This is cool, right? Yes, makes sense. I think, but this would this work? ASN gives me the sum of all the elements, and ASN minus k minus 1 is the number of elements whose sum I want from the end. I think that is cool. And so S equals maximum of S comma start plus end, and output S. Let's see. Wrong answer. Okay. 7, 18, 3, 27, 49. Okay, so how is this 7? K is 1. So K went from I in the second loop, went from 0 to 1. And when it was 0, okay, this is the array that I have. This is the array. When I is 0, then what would be the value of start? I 0, 0, AS 0 should be 0. So start is 0 and end should be 6. And what is it actually? And ASN should give me the sum of all the elements, and this should give me the this should give me 6. So it would be 6 in this case. Shit, that is not what I am optimizing for. I am optimizing to get the minimum instead. Shit. Yes, yes, yes. Makes sense. The minimum. And for that, I have to do this. And 64 max hollow. Again, wrong. Fuck, wrong answer. I want to minimize start plus end. But why is it still the same? Shit, because I have to output something else. Yes, shit. I have to output not S but AS N minus S. Hmm. Still wrong. Still wrong. In the first one, yeah, I should just remove 6, so that is cool. And 2 plus 5, 7, 8, 8, 18 plus 6, 24. Hmm. Should I have sorted it? So, should uh minimum remove 3. Yes, do not remove that. Remove 3, and I'm doing this after sorting. Shit, I have to make this thing. Yeah, make the AS afterwards. Repeat li 0 l AS I plus equals ASI plus 1 equals AI plus ASI. And now it is still wrong. Okay, except for this one. Something happened with the limits. This number might be too big, and I have type def int to long. So what is the problem? Divided by 2. Uh, okay, it is okay. Shit. Me no. AS isn't. S isn't. So it should be long, and it should come out in the right way. Even if I do this, yeah, it should not change. So this number 3, 3, 3. It is long. Long. Why is it negative? See out AN. AN is 0. Yeah, AN is 0. AS. Okay, AS is this. Okay, so yeah, makes sense why this would be negative, because total sum is lower than this thing. Why is the AS not correct? Is A go from 0 to N minus 1. That is cool. Makes sense. Mhm. Because okay, because it's I think now we should be cool. Yeah, now we are cool. Yeah. So the problem was this was here, which means that when I'm defining vi as a vector of integers, integer is 32-bit, and it is on line 6 that integer means a long. So if I just move this above, now every time that I'm using integer, it means a 64-bit number. Copy all the lines and submit. It does work, right? Yep. Submit. Let's see. Great. Love from Mumbai. L- Thank you. Bro, in which college are you? Bro, chat missed. Yeah, I was solving a bit of questions. It's accepted. That is good. Accepted. Yo, cool. Love from Mumbai. That is crazy. And 139 milliseconds. And now counting orders. Which language? This is C++. It says right here dot C++, CPP. And about my college, I just go to a local college in my own city. And you are given two arrays A and B, each consisting of n integers. All elements of A are pairwise distinct. Okay, no two in every pair that I take, consecutive pairs, so they are distinct. Find the number of ways to reorder A such that AI is always greater than BI for all I, for all n modulo 10 power 9 plus 7. Two ways of reordering are considered different if the resulting arrays are different. Find the number of ways to reorder A modulo with this thing, modulo with this. So, which would mean take the last nine, take the last 9 digits of a number and add 7 to them. That is strange. I do not exactly get the question. You are given two arrays A and B of n elements. All elements of A are pairwise distinct. Find the number of ways to reorder B such that this. Okay. Mhm. Each test contains T, okay, and then N, and then A. The second line of each case, distinct integers, A and this. The array, it is guaranteed that all elements of A are pairwise distinct. I guess pairwise distinct means all the elements of array of A are distinct no matter how I choose any pair. I could choose A1 and AN and they will be distinct. The second line of each test case contains n integers B1 to Bn, the array B. It is guaranteed that the sum does not exceed and okay, shit. Okay, I have to, whatever my answer is, I have to take its modulo with 10 and then add 7 to that. Take the last 9 digits of my answer and add 7 to it. 3200. This is A and this is B. So for 4, I could choose 9, 6. For cannot zoom any further. For 4, I could choose 9, 6, 8. It has to be greater. Okay, I cannot choose 4. 9, 6, 8, 5. For 1, I could choose any of these numbers, and for 5, I could choose any of these three numbers, and for 6, I could choose that. Okay, so I think if I were to sort both of these array and no, not sorting, sort just A. Mm, that would mean n square. What is the time limit? This and n can be big. So sorting, I can do sorting, but after that, sorting, can I do how many elements can I choose for 4 without sabotaging all the other elements? N square. n log n plus n log n. Okay, okay. Let's say I have sorted this and I'm traversing from the greatest element in B, which in this case is 6, and I'm seeing how many elements can I choose for 6. No, that would not work. How do I see how many elements I am free to choose from 6 so that it does not sabotage any other element? I think for 6 I could choose 9, 8, and that would not sabotage any of these elements. Any of these elements. 8 or 9. That okay. Because I know that the next number is going to be lower than 6, which is 5. Uh, so let's say I choose one of these numbers. So the next number, whatever it is, it will have for 6. For 6, I have two choices. And when I have taken one choice, the next number will have the numbers left over from 6, which would be just one number, either of 9 or 8, and the new numbers that are greater than 5, which would be 6. So in 5, in total, 5 would have two choices. And let's say 5 takes one of them. And the next number is going to be lower than 5, which is 4 in this case. And then 4 will have one choice, one leftover choice from 5, and it would also have 5 as a new choice. So it will have two options that it can choose from. And let's say 4 chooses one number, and then yeah, I go to the next greatest number, that is 3, and 3 will have one leftover choice from 4 and one new choice, which is this 4. So 3 also has two choices, and then when 3 chooses one of these numbers, and then I go to the next greatest number, which is 1, and which has one leftover choice from 3 and a new choice, which is 2. And then this one chooses one of those numbers, and I go down to the next greatest, which is 1, and it will have only one choice. So I had two choices for all of these numbers except 1 1. So 2 power 5, 32. Okay, 32, 32. 32 is the answer. Okay, so for every step, I start I start with a counter at 1, and at every step I will multiply that counter with the number of choices presented to me at for every number. So I have to sort these two arrays and go from traverse the B array from the greatest towards the smallest element. I hope that makes sense. And, okay, greatest to the smallest. Okay, cool, 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 cool. BLB 70, 16, and n, cin, n, VIA size n, and VIB size n, and I0 n, cin, A, I, and I0 n, cin, VI, and then sort all A, sort all B, and for int I equals n minus 1, while I greater than 0, greater than equal to 0, and I minus minus. So traverse from the end the greatest number to the smallest, and my counter int c equals 1. Int c equals 1. Okay, and how do I calculate the number of choices? I need j index initially equals n minus 1, and while while aj is greater than bi, what do I have to do? J minus minus, j minus minus, and j always greater than equal to 0. Okay, so I go minus minus minus, and I would also need the number of choices. Int choices initially, let's say 0, and for every number that I pass, yeah, decrease j and ch plus plus, number of choices would increase. Okay, and then I would do c multiplied by equal to ch, and at the end ch minus minus. And if at any point ch becomes 0, my answer would become 0. If there are no choices for a number, my answer would become 0. I'm traversing from the end. I think this should work. C out. Oh yeah, my bad. C out. C modulo 1 e 9 plus 7. uh, long and valid operation on long and double. Okay, I could do this goes. Shit, no, that is wrong, that is wrong. 10 raised to the power. This will also return a double 1 e 9. Let's see what how this is. Correct answer. That is cool. That is cool. I will take modulus in C++ with a big number. I do not want to type 10 with a lot of zeros. Modulo long 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plus 7. This is pretty bad. Now it is wrong answer. Shit. 2977. This is correct, but what do they mean by this modulo 7? What does it mean in code forces to return answer with modulo of some number? Calculate the remainder of the answer when divided by that remainder of that answer. Okay, for example, this. Modulo 10 power 9. Let's see. If you need to find the answer, the number of ways to reorder A such that this is for all. What is given in the problem? We are given a, I don't need that. What is just, how do I calculate the final answer? Else decrement counter and multiply answer by count. What is meant by, what does 10 power 9, what does modulo 10 power 9 plus 7 mean? uh, Two given integers x and n, you have to calculate x to the power of n, 10 power 9, that is calculate x to the power n with modulo. In other words, you have to find the values when x is raised to the power of n, and then modulo is taken with, why is there a plus 7 there? Take the modulo with this and then add 7, or this remainder when 8 is divided by this. So this thing, instead of doing this here, I can do this here. After every operation, c becomes c modulo with 10 with 1 e 9 plus 7 and error because, yeah. mm, why output the answer to this? Yes, you might have noticed that many programming problems ask you to answer modulo with this thing. In this note, I'm going to discuss what this means and right away to deal with this type of questions. So here it is. First of all, I'd like to go through some prerequisites. Modulo operation is the same as the remainder of the division. If I say a modulo b is c, it means that when a is divided by b, c is the remainder. It means that the remainder when a is divided by b is c. The modulo operation is represented by percentage operator in most programming languages. In these, why is modulo needed? The largest integer data type in C and C++ is long. The size is this 64. It can store up to from this negative 2 power 63 to positive 2 power 63 minus 1 integers. But in certain problems, for instance, when calculating the number of permutations of arrays, even this large number may prove insufficient. We know that the number of permutations of a size n array is n factorial. Even for a small value of n, the answer can be very large. Example for n21, the answer is 21 factorial, which is very big, which is about this. And too large, 10 power 19 is larger than 2 power 63. Too large, okay, this makes calculating values for large factorials difficult. So instead of asking the exact value of the answer, the problem setters ask the answer modulo some number m, so that the answer will still remain in range that can be stored easily in a variable. Some languages such as Java and Python offer data types that are capable of storing large numbers, but okay. Uh, there are certain requirements of the choice of m and modulo number m. M is the number with whom we are taking the modulo. It should just be large enough to fit in an integer data type. It should be a prime number. It should be prime number. 10 power 9 plus 7. Why should it be a prime number? Taking modulo with a, it should be a prime number so that the chances of this big number exactly dividing our answer are lower. Fits both criteria. It is large and also a prime, okay, which is why you nearly always find this modulo type questions. I have explained the logic behind the second point at the end of the note, how to handle questions involving modulo. basic view. This yeah, modulo can is distributive over all of these. Okay, except division, it is distributive over subtraction, multiplication, and adding. So this is seems like C++. While take n modulo m factorial. Okay, and m is also provided. Notice that on line 6, I perform the modulo operation each intermediate stage. It doesn't make any difference when we, yeah, because of this thing, because modulo is distributive. I take modulo inside and of both and then add it and take modulo with C outside. Answer equals answer multiplied by n in m. So C equal C multiplied by what? CH modulo. How do I say m 10 power 9 plus 7? That is quite a lot of things in here. How to take modulo 10 power 9 plus 7 CP, or is this or this? Okay, I can just make it a constant number there. Okay, const, it is integer, right? Yeah, const int m is 1e9 plus 7. Yes, yes, 16 m. And correct answer. That is cool. That is cool. Select the whole thing, submit, copy paste, submit, and let's see. Uh, Pratikja, you are growing so fast. I hope so. Shivraj Taware, what is the name of this IDE? This is Vim. I'm using Vim, NeoVim to be more exact. NeoVim in a terminal, and the terminal is called Ghosty terminal. It is Ghosty is created by Hashamut, Mr. Mitchell. Mr. Mitchell, and his first name is Mitchell Hashimoto. Not Michael Madsen. Uh, Mitchell Hashimoto, yeah. Mitchell Hashimoto. He created Ghosty, which I'm using. And my problem is submitted. That is cool. Epic Shots, is your college T2 or T3? It is T3. No comment. No, I have to study. I cannot sleep. I can sleep in the night. Next, while loop. Ah, shit. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. To break that barrier, I guess you have to practice more problems, harder problems, problems that feel hard to, uh, yeah, problems of new types and harder problems so that you can increase the number of problems that you are doing in a contest. And also today is a contest. You can increase the number of problems that you are solving in a contest and increase the speed in which you are solving the problems. Those are the only parameters that you can improve. So yeah, work on them. And here, yes, this is correct. check this later. J greater than equal to 0 and this. Yeah, that is cool. And I can move on to the next question. In which year are you? I am in my second year right now. And counting orders. Done. Right. Done. Done. This one now. Shit, I did three questions very fast. That is cool. It took me 1 hour. Okay. That is cool. Lunatic, never content. Never content. Okay. You have an array A of n non-negative integers. Let's define FA, which takes in two numbers, A and X. It returns an array by taking modulo of every element in A with X. Okay, for some positive integer X, find the biggest X such that this is a palindrome. The biggest X. I could just take the largest number in A. No, no, shit. The biggest, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. The biggest number. Shit, so my X could range from 1 to A power to the maximum value in A. Here, this is the remainder, okay. And can I do that? A is 10 power 9, so if I were to do that and then check if it is a palindrome or not, it would take n by 2 time in every time, and I have to do that 10 power 9 times. Time complexity would be big, very big. 10 power 9 multiplied by, so it would be 10 power 9 essentially. Can I do that? A loop running 10 power 9 times. The biggest number. Uh, hmm, the biggest. If I choose the biggest number, that would become 0. And if I start from there and go down, it would mm, palindrome. I want to make this a palindrome, right? So, palindrome of remainders. I have the biggest number and I have to see how many times it is appearing in the whole thing. And mm, shit. 10 power 9 is the biggest value of AI. This is the palindrome, then this is the 100. Remainder here is 1 and remainder here is 100. This is it, then 0. If I have this, then I see, okay, I can do better than that. Okay, 3 and 1. I want some number which gives me remainder of 3 and 1, and that would just be 1. Do they have any greatest common divisor? No. So answer would be 1. 2. Shit. Yes, 2 gives remainder of 1 for 3 and also for 1. So yeah, it does not depend on greatest common divisor. or it might. Is there a function which I can use which gives me, if given two numbers, what would be the number, uh, what would be the greatest number, or maybe the smallest number that would, no, and the smallest number would always be 1. The smallest number would always be 1. Yes, 1 would always return remainder 0. Yeah. So the biggest number could go from here to here. 1 and 3. Mm, So if I choose a number, so first, yes, first step, there are two things. I will be traversing from one side of the array till the middle, about the middle, and I will be checking the element on the other side of the array. And I have to find a number, greatest number, which gives the same remainder for both of these numbers. And somehow, so first I have to figure out what that method would be. But here I know that number would be 2. So after finding that it is 2, I will move on to the next number and see the number on the opposite end. Take the remainder of both those numbers with the number from the previous iteration, that would be 2, and remainder for this is 0, and for this with 2 is also 0. So I move on and I see the new numbers. Here it is 1, here it is 3, and the remainder is again the same when taking with 2, and here also it is the same, so I do not change. But in case of any conflict, I would have to change the number, and that number would have to be a multiple of the number that I was a factor. That number would have to be a factor of the number that I was moving with till now. The test case is not pretty good, right? Very basic. Yeah, so that number would be that number would have to be a factor of the number that I was moving with. Shit. Okay. Finding the opposite numbers and taking the remainder and checking if they are same, that is the simpler part. But harder part is finding a number with which this greatest common divisor. Three shared. Is there like a single operation that I can do? Single expression that would find the number x for two given numbers. For these two, for 1 and 3, I know it is 2. But and the remainder could be anything. So that could be anything. Do I know that the number cannot be equal to the greatest number? Because if I were to take the greater number, the remainder would be 0, and it would be non-zero for the other number unless the other number itself is 0. That would not be a problem. Shit. Okay. But in this case, it is non-zero, so it cannot be 3. But in this case, it is 0, so 2 is my, when one of those numbers is 0, then the other number is automatically the greatest number with the same remainder. So I need to find a number as greater as possible. So the greatest remainder that I can get would be the smaller number. Yes, that would be the smaller number. That would be the greatest remainder that I can hope to get. And am I looking for the greatest remainder? Yes, greatest remainder would also mean that I'm using the greatest value of x. So, mm, so what are the numbers that can give me 1 as a remainder? That would be just 2 and 0. We do not talk about 0. So in 3, for shit, it is easy to find such a number for smaller numbers, for just two numbers, which returns the greatest uh, number x. It would be equal to the smallest number mm, minus, but yeah, it also the other number also has to return the same remainder. Shit. Mm. Will I have to run a loop from the smaller number till 0 to find that number? No, no, I don't think so. Okay, let's go to Excalibur. I think it is maximum of absolute AI minus AJ I plus plus J minus minus I equals to 0 and J equals N minus 1. What does that mean? Let me think on my own a bit. If I am given two numbers, let's say 5 and 7, the greatest remainder that I can hope to find is 5. And I would get remainder 5 when dividing with 10 and just 10. Just 10, yeah. But that dividing with 7 would not give me that, so it would give me 7 here. And if I were to reduce this remainder that I am hoping to get by 1, it would be 4, and my upper limit, which was 10, would become 9, and my lower limit would become 1, and the remainder given to me by 9 and by 1 it would be 0, and by 9 it would be 2. So initially it was 7, and now initially it was 7, and now it is 0 and 7. And then if I were to reduce it again down to 3, then this becomes lower limit becomes 2, upper limit becomes 8, and with 2 I get a remainder of 1, and with 8 I get a remainder of 7 still. And if I were to change it again, hoping for a remainder of 2, this would become 3, and this would become 7, and now the remainder with 3 is still 1, and with 7 it is 0, and none of them is equal to 2, so I move 1 down again, and 1 is the value that I settle at. 1 is the remainder that I'm hoping to get, and that would be by 6 and 4. Shit, and 4 does return 4 returns a remainder of 3, and 6 returns a remainder of 1, so that is cool. I could use 6 as my x to get a remainder of 1 from both of these numbers. But how did I settle on that? Maybe go from the smaller number to the bigger number and find the number in middle. If there are odd number of numbers, then the number in the middle would be the answer, and if there are even numbers, let's say between 5 and 8, I have 6, 7, which if I were to take remainder with 6, it would return 1 in case of 5, and it would return 2 in case of 8, and with 7 it would return 1 here, and it would return 2 here and 1 here, which is bad, which is not equal. So I have to go below 5, but where do I go? That okay, that would involve a loop. That would involve a loop, I think. Mm, if the distance between the two is even, let's say 10 and 18, and yes, they would not return anything. So I start switching numbers from 9 to till 1. 1 would always be correct. So do I always have to do a loop? Can I avoid a loop? Hmm? Yes, I do. I think I do not have to go all the way down, all the way down to 1. I only have to go to this thing minus this thing, 8 numbers below, because after that remainders would start to repeat themselves. Okay, remainder of 10 with 9 is 1, with 8 is 2, with 7 is 3, with 6 is 4, with 5 is 0. That is crazy. With 5 is 0, with 4 it is 2, 3 it is 1. So they are not repeating. Yeah, because there are prime numbers. Shit. Hmm. For 9 it is 0 here. For 8 it is 2. For 7, 14, 4, for 6, 0. And for 8 it is matching. And for 2 it is 0. For 1 it is 0 here, and maybe finding the GCD. G equals GCD G absolute of their difference, I plus plus J minus minus, start with GCD equals start with GCD 0. This would give me the difference. Okay, so you're telling me to do a n square loop, every number with every number, and G equals GCD G of absolute distance between every two elements, every two pairs. every pair. That is I is this, and then loop through element. Okay, the opposite element, this and this. Find their GCD. I start with G equals 0 and find GCD, greatest common. If I start with GCD equals 0, uh, what is GCD of 0 and 2? Is it 2? I think it is 2, greatest common divisor. I can divide 0 by 2 and 2 by 2. That, and both return a remainder of 0. Yeah, both return a remainder of 0. Mhm. So, okay, I plus plus and G minus minus. Okay, this minus that. GCD. This minus this. 2. GCD is shit. This minus this is 2. This minus this is 2. This minus this is 2. And this minus this is 2. Okay, so and GCD of 2's is 2. Okay, that is crazy. And this minus this is the answer here. But here, this thing, greatest common divisor. Okay, it is in the middle, so it does not matter. Okay, and if even if there was another one here, so 1 minus 1 would be 1, would be 0, and 0 GCD with this number would be 0. Oh, shit, some things are making sense in my mind. Here, you are saying that if I do 10 minus 18 is 8, so shit, 8 is actually the answer. But why is 8 the answer? And for 5 and 7, it was 6. It was 6 for 5 and 7. It was not 2. 2 would also be an answer, but 6 is also an answer, which gives the remainder. No, fuck, no, 6 does not work. 6 does not give remainder of 1 when dividing 5, it gives 5. Shit, so the correct answer is 2. But why is that? Why? Shit. Uh, if I have number A and B, remainder A, let's say A is 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. A is 13 and B is smaller. B is 13 and B is a bit larger. B is, let's say, 17. 13, 14, 15, 16. B is 17. So B has these many extra boxes, and if I want their remainder to be similar, you're saying that this is the answer. How is this white thing the answer? It is not making sense. Let's say I cut off this and this, and A is only this big and B is only this big, and still the correct answer would be this, because this would give a remainder of this would give a remainder of this as remainder 1, and when dividing this it would still give a remainder of 1. Okay, and then if I were to remove, if I increase this by one more unit, let's say instead of this, A is now these two blocks and B is now these two blocks, then it's still the remain. Okay, so when I'm increasing A and B by same amount, then the remainder would always be the same. Okay, okay, that makes sense. Shit, that makes sense. And if I were to make them something like this, is let's say these three blocks and B is these extra blocks plus these three blocks, then the remainder here would be 3 and here would also be 3. Because A and B are increasing at a similar pace, then their remainder would always be same when taking with this number. And if they were increasing at different paces, that difference would be covered by the answer. Shit, I will have to think about this more. This is cool. This is like something cool. Number thing cool. Okay, so the greatest number that returns the answer, do that, and then take the GCD. It would have to be a factor. Yeah, GCD of all of those numbers. Okay, this is cool. And thank you for your answer, Sachin Gond. Nice name. Uh, BLP. How is it given? N and then the array. Int N, Cn N, A, Vi, E, size N, I, 0, then Cn, AI. And then, fuck. After that, yeah, I run a loop for int I equals 0 till I less than n by 2. If it is 5, then 0, 1, 2, right? And when it is 0, subtract that from n minus 1, right? And okay, cool, 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 cool. And I plus plus int g equals 0 initially, or more like answer, say something, and cw, that is cool, and answer is GCD of A I, GCD of absolute of A I minus A n minus 1 minus I, and no matching call for GCD. Okay, I have to give two numbers, yes, for this and answer. Okay, makes sense. And then C out, answer, C plus plus, and correct answer. That is cool. And I think it will work. Man, shit, I would not have been able to come up with this solution. This is very elegant. This solution is very elegant. Accepted. That is cool. 4 accepted in a row. And now I want to play a little bit. What are different ways that I can loop with? Let's say int I starts at this and I do j starts at n minus 1, and while I less than j, and this I plus plus comma j plus plus. Okay, that does work. Okay, cool. And replace this shit. My bad. Uh, Replace this with j. This should, okay. Yeah, this should work, I think. And it does not, because j minus minus. Cool. Select all and submit again. Is it changed? Yes, changed. So now I'm using exactly this thing, I plus plus and j minus minus. It is also accepted. That is cool. So what was the thing that I was unable to come up with? This thing, GCD. And I recently gave a contest in which this, like this, something similar was used. GCD, I had to find GCD of numbers. Mm, okay, that is cool. So one thing that I can take away from this is when finding a remainder, when finding a number which the greatest number that would give the same remainder for two given numbers, it would be, let's say numbers are a and b, it would be absolute value of a minus b, a minus b. That would be the answer. Okay, that is something that I can take away. And do not forget to take GCD when I was earlier saying that the next number would have to be a factor of the earlier one that I was using. So that is just the definition for GCD. Okay, and I haven't read the editorials for these questions, which is bad. Let me read the editorial for this one. Mhm, mhm, mhm. Tutorial. So I've done this. 4. 4 is good enough. Not good enough. 1100. I want to go to like 2000 level. Lunatic, never count. How to solve for n equals 2? A minus b is absolute of a0 minus a1. How to solve for n equals 4? For the sequence to be a palindrome, it has to satisfy this thing. Yes, in our case, bi equals ai mod x. We can rewrite the palindrome equation as, yes, yes, because replacing bi with these values, moving all the terms to the left, we get this, this, minus this. Okay, one number minus the other number equals 0 mod x. That is just x, which basically says x divides a minus b. Can you do that? Okay. Now how to find the greatest and the biggest x which satisfy all, find the greatest common divisor of all of these numbers. That is cool. Okay, I can move on now. Okay, green, sort the subarray. I have been learning how to sort. That is cool. In my spare time, Monocarp had an array A consisting of n integers. Had an array A consisting of n integers. He has decided to choose two integers L and R such that, okay, left and right, and then sort the subarray LR. The subarray LR is the part of the array A consisting of elements, all of these, and L and R are inclusive. So the length of this array is R minus L plus 1 in non-descending order, that is ascending order. After sorting the subarray, Monocarp has obtained a new array which is denoted as A dash. For example, this, and Monocarp chooses L equals 2, which is this, and L equals R equals 5, which is this. Sorting this would be 6, 3, 4, 4, 7. So 6, 3, 4, 4, 7, 6, 5. You are given an arrays A, and this find the largest L and R that Monocarp could have chosen. If there are multiple pairs of L and R, find the one which corresponds to the longest subarray. Okay, so I simply have to find the longest sequence that is in ascending order. That is cool. That is cool. That is cool. I can do that. PLP boilerplate. How is the input given n and then the two arrays, right? CNN and VI A or size N, and longest. Shit. Okay. No. It is not that simple. Ah, shit. Okay, I will see the first element that differs between A and my array B, and I know that this is one of the elements that has been changed, and then I go as far left as I can where the array is still in non-descending order, and as far right as I can where the array is still in non-descending order. So okay, and I0 N C V I. After that, what? Uh, Loop diff initially nothing. Diff is like nothing, literally nothing. No, let's initialize it to -1, or in a more fancy way, -1, and then I0 N. If at any point AI isn't equal to BI, diff equals I, and just like diff equals I, and then break. And after this, if diff equals -1, That is, none of the elements are. What if A is already sorted? If A is already sorted, then also it would be that. Okay, when there is no, if diff is -1, that is no elements were changed, then I need to return the longest subsequence of A that is sorted. But if there is an element that was changed, then I will go as far left as I can and as far right as I can. Okay, that is cool. So if diff is equals 0, then repeat li 0 n and n c equals 0, counter c 0, and if, and also cm, c counter max, if less than n minus 1, if ai uh, if ai plus 1 minus ai is greater than or equal to 0, then c plus plus, and else c equals 0. No, c is always equal to 1. What do I have to return? Shit, I have to return L and R. Okay, so I need L and R. Okay, let's say int L, R, and L initially 0, L initially 0, R initially n minus 1. And this, do something there, and this, yes, I can say that an individual element is always sorted. C equals 1. Cannot do that. C plus plus, C equals 1, and if C greater than C max, then I need to change L and R. Cm equals C, and fuck, L, how do I find L? I update L. Yes, I update L. Fuck, okay. I need a maximum L and a running L. Okay, LR, like current L, initially starts at 0, and after this L equals I, L equals I. This element is the one that we are starting with now. No, we are comparing with the next element, and these two are not. So uh, I plus 1, and here when this happens, then L equals current L, and here this is also current L, and R becomes equal to what is the R now, right? which is I plus 1. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And CL change current left. Okay. And C makes C equal to 1 starting with the next element. Okay. And if it is in descending order, increase C. And if C has become greater than maximum C, then update C maximum, update left, which and make it equal to current left, and update right and make it equal to I plus 1 because the next one is also in ascending order, non-descending order. Okay, that should work. That should work. That should work. That should work. And else, that is, if I did find an element that is different. So diff is pointing to that index. Then I will go first left, finding the correct L, and then I will go right, finding the correct R as far as I can go. So Y, I can do L equals R equals diff, right? And while L is greater than equal to 0 and and A L A L, that is the current one, it cannot be equal to 0. It cannot be equal to 0. AL current minus the last one minus AL minus 1 is greater than or equal to 0. What do you do? L minus minus. Makes sense. Will L ever become equal to 0? Yes, it will ever sometime become equal to 0, and after that it will not run anymore. R, while R is less than n minus 1, and A R plus 1 minus A R greater than equal to 0. What do I do? R plus plus. Is that correct? R plus 1 minus the current R, while that is true. Keep doing this. Make it. Okay, okay. That is cool. And we'll see out. L space R. Wrong answer. Cool. Fuck. Bro, try a 2000. Maybe not today. 1000 are not 1100 are too simple. They are not too simple for me. El Kai Rifat. Bro, which Chrome extension you use to add the problem? I am using this extension. It is called Competitive Companion, and I am using Vim with that. And in Vim, I am using assistant.nvim, which is a plugin in Vim created by an Indian guy. Here, I, this should have worked. L is this, R is this. Different. Okay. If at any point mm, AI is not equal to BI, then put diff equal to I and break, which means here when I becomes equal to 1, it should have broken, right? And this should have become, this should have changed. Diff would have become 1, and after that diff would be 1, not minus 1. And when diff is 1, I put L equal to R equal to diff, which is 1. And while L is greater than 0 and AL. Okay, this is B. My bad. This is B. This is supposed to be B. Yes, this is supposed to be B, and this is still wrong. Okay, yeah, it is like one indexed. So cool. Now the answer is correct. Uh-huh. Submit. Great, great. Mm, Running. And what would be the time complexity? Time complexity. I will not include these loops which I'm running to take in the input. Then I'm running a loop n times, and then this loop which should at max run n times. So time complexity is n. And fuck, maybe this is correct. Oh, okay. Like this looks very more beautiful, like very beautiful compared to this thing which was yesterday. So this is cool. Okay, sort the subarray. Before moving on, I will read the editorial for this. And today is also a contest, which is cool. Editorial should be zero contribution, 1098 rating. It says greedy. Did I use a greedy algorithm? I did not. Like, I think the solution that I gave, it doesn't come in the domain of algorithms that are considered greedy, or not that they are considered greedy, but they cannot be, they do not come in a domain which have the possibility to be classified as greedy. I think tutorial is loading. That is crazy. Shit. Solution. Okay. It is actually loading, or that it was the thing there. Let's find the leftmost and rightmost position in which the array A and A dash differ. Leftmost and okay. Since only the elements in the chosen subsegment might change, the subarray we sorted could two contain these two positions. Let's start with the subarray from the leftmost different position to the rightmost one, and then expand it to get the longest subarray which meets the conditions. Suppose we want to expand it to the left. Let the current L border be current left border be L. How to decide if we can make it L minus 1? Just check this. I think there is supposed to be a this is not supposed to be A, this is supposed to be A dash instead of A. Yeah, this is supposed to be A dash instead of, no shit. Then we cannot include L minus 1 in the subarray because it is Different makes sense. Not just different, it is greater than the left border. Okay. In the subarray, we sort since otherwise the order of these two elements would have changed. Yes. Otherwise, A L minus 1 is not greater than element in the subarray we have chosen, so we can include it and reduce L by 1. We do this until it is impossible to reduce L. That is what I have done. I have reduced L and increased R as much as I can. The same goes for the right border. We expand it till the right and to the right until we find an element which is lesser than the previous element in a dash array, and we cannot include this element in the subarray. Makes sense. And now I can just move to the next question. Here, shit, this is the same question. My bad. The next is JoJo's Incredible Adventures. That is an anime which I have not completed. Today I started here. One, two, three, four, five. That is cool. Now the sixth question of the day. 2 hours, 1 minute. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Wait, what? Subsequence edition, hard version. Subsequence edition, maximum sort the subarray. Subsequence edition. Like code forces doesn't seem to be working. JoJo's Incredible Adventure. My rank has increased, I suppose. It is now 3291. And I have not done this collecting games question. I will do this someday. And some questions are remaining in the 1000 level. 3, 4, 5 questions. Fair numbers, this and that. This is loaded. JoJo's Incredible Adventures. Long problem. Let's go. Do you think there was going to be a JoJo legend here? But no, that was me, Dio. Shit. Dio is the first bad guy in the first season of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Given a binary string. Let me fill water. Wait a minute. Given a binary string S. Yep. Given a binary string S of length n consisting of characters 0 and 1. Shit, this problem has nothing to do with JoJo's Incredible Adventure. Shit. Okay, that is cool. Consisting of characters 0 and 1, let's build a square table of size n times n consisting of 0 and 1 characters as follows. Okay, it has not loaded correctly. Given a string s of length consisting of 0 and 1, let's build a square table of size n by n times consisting of 0, 1 characters as follows. In the first row of the character, write the original string s. In the second of the table, write cyclic shift of the string s by 1 to the right. Okay. In the third, write the cyclic shift of s by 2 to the right, and so on. Okay. This is the rth row. Kth row will have k minus 1 shifted to the right as k shifted to the right. In a cyclic, thus the row with number k will have a cyclic shift of sk to the right. The number of rows are from 0. Okay, if it is 0 indexed, then just k cycle. K shifts to the right to n minus 1, top to bottom. In the resulting table, we need to find the rectangle consisting of only of ones that has the largest area. Fuck, we call a rectangle the set of cells this in the table such that the fuck this is not rendering correctly. Uh, Let me refresh, reload it. Yeah, now it is cool. Uh-huh. Yep. Uh, we call a rectangle the set of cells these in the table such that I is between x1 and x2, j is between and including y1 and y2 for some integers. These x1, x2, y1, y2. Recall that by cyclic shift of string s by k to the right. Recall that the cyclic shift of a string s by k to the right is the string this. Yeah. For example, yeah. mm, You know what? Okay, 0 will not be replaced. 0 will always remain there. It would just change on the first one. Yeah, so I do not care about this zero. This zero like might not even be there. Yeah, that does not matter. So I can remove that zero and then shift these. Okay. So the maximum width of the rectangle that I can hope for would be sequence with a sequence of ones that are consecutive, the maximum longest sequence of consecutive ones, and the maximum height I can hope for would be n. Mm-hmm. Would be n and okay. In this, the answer is one. Wait, zero. Answer zero. One. One. I have to return the area, right? So in this answer is two because 101 a right shift 110 a right shift 011 and the greatest is 11. Yeah. And in this hmm okay, I think I have to find the greatest number of consecutive ones that okay okay, let's say I have 0 1 1 1 0. Then the next one would be I can remove the first 0 that literally does not matter. This one does not matter. And then the next one would be 0 1 1. Fuck. And now if I were to right shift it, would it become 0 1 1 1 or okay, I have to right shift this number. Right. So cool. Cool. I can this would become 1 0 1 1 and then 1 1 0 1 and then 1 no then nothing then this would be the last one. 4 rows. So after finding the largest consecutive sequence like this 3, I can suppose that I will have a bunch of rectangles that I can choose. The maximum, if I were just going for 2 rows, the maximum if I were just going for two rows, the maximum rectangle, fuck, the biggest rectangle would be including, let's say, the length of the greatest sequence of 1 is x. Then the area of the maximum rectangle when including just two rows would be 2 multiplied by x minus 1. And if choosing 3, then the area would be 3 multiplied by x minus 2. And when choosing 4, it would be 4 multiplied by x minus 3, which in this case would be 0. And since x is 3, this would result in 2 into 2, 4. This would result in 2 into 1, 3, and this 0. So the maximum is 4. In this case, is the answer. Answer is, it had like 4 ones. So if x is 4, so 2 into 4 minus 1 is 6. Okay, so that always seems to be the maximum. I increased this by 1, but reduced this by 2. That is 3 into 2. This is still 6. Okay, is there any number in which the lower number is greater? Let's say x is 8. Then 2 into 7 would be something 14. Then 3 into 6 is 18. Okay, so I will run a loop starting from 0 till x minus 1, and yeah, multiplying by these numbers, and final answer would be final answer. Yeah, the maximum would be the final answer. Let's see how that works. All of played int n, n. But before that, I have to change my input a little bit. I will take this in as a string and remove any number of zeros that there are in the start. I'm not getting any n. String s, cn, s, and then after I have to do, well, first of all, find the longest sequence after removing 1 0 from there. And not just from 2, it will start with 1 into x would also be there. 1. So start from 1 till x minus 1 till x. 1 till x. How do I remove all the ones, all the zeros from the start? I do not remove all the zeros from the start. I just start counting the number of ones when I see a 1. Okay. And I will also keep in mind, not in mind, like keep in record the maximum number of ones from the start and the maximum number of consecutive sequence of ones from the end, and add that, and that would also be one of the sequences that I could get. So int s, int l, and mx, and c, not s, first, last, 0 s dot size, and bool uh, g equals false, false, and if si equals 1, then g equals true, and if g, only then do the things here. Then check if, okay, I have to also initialize these values. First is 0, last is 0, max is 0, and c is 0. Now if current if si equal to a 1, if si equal to a 1, then c plus plus, that is increase the current by 1, and mx equals maximum of c comma mx, and first and last. How do I take care of first and last? For last, I can make it equal to c. Yeah, yes, shit, I do not need a last. Last would be equal to c, else c equals 0. If it is not a 1, then make it equal to 0. So I do not need a last. But first, how do I calculate first? When I see a 0 for the first time after encountering a sequence of ones, then I would stop updating f. So after this, if, no, I have to use some other number, ff true, and if ff, then f equals c, make f equal to the current number, and if this, then ff equals false. Is that correct? If this, then ff equals false. When I see a 0 after the first, after getting a sequence of ones, then I make ff equals 0, and if ff is false, then f would not be updated. Okay, so after this, mx equals maximum of ff plus c comma mx, and then I would run a loop, right? End answer initially, what, anything, doesn't matter. Loop is starting from 1 till starting from 1 till mx, answer equals maximum of answer comma I into mx minus I minus 1. Out answer with a new line. Let's see, that gives the wrong answer. Okay, 0 was cool, 1 2 3 6, that all of that messed up. 6. Okay, so what was mx? Let me turn off the AC. First test case, for second I need to see fourth is fifth. for the second last test case. It was equal to 4. So that is, no, 4. No, it should be, it is 4. 4 is correct. 4 is correct. 4 is correct. It is maybe the way that I am running the loop. When n is equal to 4, start I from 1 into 4 minus 1, and when I becomes equal to 2, then minus 0, I minus 1 minus 1, I into, so when I is equal to 2, okay, subtract 1 from I, which is more like plus 1 here. Now it should be correct or not because of this. 2 and 1. Okay. That is not actually correct. What's up? Yo, good, soon, number 1. Hehe, hello. Let me just go to the washroom and I will be right back. And yeah. Okay, I am back. And Mohammed Shoaib B. Mohammed Shoaib B. In which language are you doing this? I am doing this in C++. That is crazy. I outputted, yes, I outputted 2, but the actual answer was 1. In this, why did I output 1? Okay, and in this I gave the answer 2. Okay, is it si equals 1, make g equal to true, and if g equals true, then go on and check if si equal 1. If it is, increase c, make c equal to 1 from that. Okay, and then mx equals makes sense. What if the first one is the last one? Okay. There is a fix for that. If do this, yeah, if ff, then first is the last, and m that would be equal to mx, so I don't have to do anything. I only have to do this. If not ff, only then do this. That should fix, but it doesn't. Okay, shit. Here mx should be 1. Let's see what the value of mx is. Mx for this one, mx is 1. 1 is cool. Mx is 1. 1 is cool. So when mx is when x is 1, when x is 1, x is 1 or 2. Okay, I'm messing up with these. That would make sense. If x is 1, row will start at 1, and this would be x. So 1 into x. Okay, and the maximum number of rows that I can choose, the maximum height that I can choose would be equal to x. Yes, and this will go on, and x would come here at one point, and this would become this. Okay, so this can go up till x. And I am starting at this equal to 1. This can go up till x, even equal to x. Yeah, cool. This should fix some things. Okay, it does, and except this one. Except this one. For this, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, third. 1, 2, 3. 1. The answer should have been 2. 2 should have been maximum. Yes, for this, 2 should have been the maximum length, but it wasn't. Ff should be equal to 1, right? C equals 0 after that, and ff equals false. And if ff, which it is not, ff is true at the start, so f becomes equal to 1, and ff becomes false later. And then when I get a 1 again, c becomes 1, mx becomes 1 comma 1, it is still a 1, and ff is false, so we do not do anything with f. And here also ff is false, so we go in here, and ff, which is 1, plus c, which is 1, 2. So 2 comma mx, mx is 1. So shit, it should have worked. Let's say f f then a space c c, then space mx mx. Let's see how that works. And mx is 4 there, mx is 2 here, it should, mx is 1 here, it should be 2. So f is 1 and c is 1 and mx is 1. So maximum, now it is correct. Cool. But I think this could backfire. What? It would only backfire in the case when something like this is happening. When something like this is happening, do I still get this? Let's say this is my thing and my maximum sequence is starting like this, right? And in the next part, it is something like this. And in the next part, my maximum sequence is something like this. In the next row, it is like this. Then it is like this, and then it is like this, then this, then this, mm, and this, and this, right? Something like this. And my maximum sequence is appearing like in a consecutive manner only in these 4 rows. So I could choose this. This would not work. Let's see. Let's see. This could break, or this could not break. I mean, this is, I think, not a good example because what if this, um, hmm. Okay, so this is the question. Now I get it. This is the question. If let's say this is my maximum square array, what if these 2 rows are appearing at the bottom and these 2 rows are appearing at the top? In that case, is there any other way that I can choose this? And I think it should be because I could choose these rows. I could like always go one below and choose them. I guess it is correct. It would work. It should work. Submit. Select the whole file. Paste. Submit. Running test case 2. It might fail. First fail of the day. Found 2, expected 4 for third number. For third. For this, it should be 4. If there are no zeros, okay, that is the only catch. If there are no zeros, yes. If there are no zeros, then it would not change. Okay, if not FF, that is FF is false. Else, if uh-huh, and else do this. But if ff return s dot size into s dot size, not return, what the hell, cout this with a line. Hmm. Hmm. All of this is an else. If ff instead of this, ah instead of this, return f into f. Cool. F into f, would that work? Yes, that would take care of things. Has it changed? Yes, it has. And cool. 237. Hmm. Wrong answer on second. Again. Click, click, click. Wait, is my audio and everything work? Yeah, audio is working. Camera is working. That is cool. And click here. Go down. 8th. Found 4. Expected 2. Maybe something like that. Or in 8th. Right? In 8th. What is 8th? 0, 1. That is 1, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This. Why would you expect 2 in this? If we are not considering 0. In the actual problem, JoJo's Incredible Adventure. Yeah. Okay. But you said that the definition of left shifting, if we right shift this thing, I get this. Right, so by 3, if I left shift this by 3. Okay, shit, fuck, these 3. Okay, my bad. Shit, if that is true, then I can remove this ff. I don't care about this. I don't care about this. Right, ff is true initially first. If there are Once, yeah, FSS is one increase as okay. This much part is correct, and including this seems correct, and this much is also correct. And if FF, mhm, yeah, that is correct. That is correct. Submit. Hmm. I think I have to do something different instead of simply solving these questions. I have to read solutions of other people who have written these who have done these questions. That is also important. Learning new things. Greep, sir, how to be smart like you. First of all, you do not call me sir, and second of all, I am not smart. I am pretending to be smart. I guess, yeah, pretend is a nice word. Just like no one is smart, you just have to pretend that you are. Like you have to pretend that I have to pretend I know what I'm doing, and that is just what you have to do. Pretend. Everything is a delusion. Everything is a delusion. Like literally everything is a delusion. You just have to work with things as if they matter and as if they are not delusions. That is how you have to go with life. JoJo's incredible adventure. First of all, consider the cases if the given string consists of only of ones and only of zeros. It is easy for these answers this. And in all other cases, let's split all strings into segments that consist only of ones. Also, if the first and the last characters of the string also equal to 1, these two characters will be in one segment. In other words, the pair of the ones which lay inside one group, if there exists some cyclic shift that these two ones are consecutive. Let the maximum length of such a segment be equal to k, then it can be shown that the answer equals this thing. Half lower limit into upper limit. Okay, I'm just looping through, and instead he just said I do not have to loop through. Answer is this: k plus 1 lower limit and k plus 1 upper limit divided by 2. Okay, we will prove this fact in such a way. We will prove this fact in such way: if there exists some rectangle of size a into b, considering its first row, we can see that it has a plus b minus 1 consecutive ones. Rectangle of size this, considering its first row, we can see that it has a plus b minus 1 consecutive ones. Yes, yes, a plus b min. Why is there a minus 1? Because 1 is shared by both. Yeah, a plus b minus 1. Because even after shifting, you are still getting a height of b and a width of a. Okay, consecutive ones, but it means that a plus b less than or equal to k plus 1 equal to k. K is the maximum number of ones that I have, and a. Okay, yes, because you just took this one from the left to the right, and this is the maximum amount of ones that you have, which is k. Okay, without loss of generality, I think this cannot be less than, it should be should be equal. Without loss of generality, if a less than b or equal to b, we can do the following replacements. A equals this minus lambda and this plus lambda. It means that a into b equals this square, which is less than or equal to this thing. Okay, this makes sense. If this and this, then we can suppose that a is something like this and b is something like this, and squaring, that is the area of the rectangle, would be this. Okay, that is still maths things. Yeah, today I read about two maths things, one in this and the other was in the previous question. Sort this Subarray. And now, before ending the stream, I would like to summarize what I have done today. But no one needs some degree of smartness to be a software dev. What do you think? What is the main quality? The main quality is like Donald Knuth, who is the guy who invented uh, asymptotic notations. He said that one thing that a few things which can distinguish a good software developer or a good engineer from a bad one is that his or her ability to jump between layers of abstraction. The ability to jump between layers of abstractions can be a very good ability, and I am trying to work on that. And jumping between layers of abstraction means that the thing that you are working with, in how much detail are you seeing that thing. For example, when you are working with, let's say, a phone, and you want your phone to do something, then there is of course the obvious interface by clicking things on the phone and doing stuff like that. But that is one level of abstraction. But below that, there is the phone hardware, which is said to be at a lower level of abstraction. So your ability to jump between levels of abstraction means in how much detail and complexity you are looking at a thing. And if at times when you're having a bird's eye view on your project or the thing that you are working with, that is important. And at times you need to go like to the bottom assembly level, binary level of the thing. And yeah, the ability to jump between those levels is pretty crucial. What books would you suggest to begin understanding these concepts? Books. Mm, books. Well, they have to be beginner friendly. And these concepts, I'm not reading these concepts from a book. I am doing this thing for DSA, Strivers thing, Strivers sheet, and a book. I would say Hacker's Delight by Mr. Warren. I have a physical copy. Hacker's Delight by Henry Warren. Henry Warren. This is a nice book. I have not completed this book, but I am wanting to complete this book. It is about how to play with binary things like bits and stuff like that. How you can multiply in binary and play with bits. Are you using Linux? No, I am using Mac OS. Here, Mac OS. And now I want to summarize these questions that I have done. This one, Tenzing books. This was easy. I just had to take XOR of I just had to take OR of numbers from the top in each stack, and at the end I had to take OR of numbers with 0 consecutive OR till I couldn't, and do this for all the 3 stacks in this one. And at the end, if the number was to the target number, then we output yes, otherwise we do not output yes. and maximum sum. What was this question? Shit. Maximum sum given an array a k exactly k number of times. Yeah, okay, okay. I have to. Shit, what the fuck? Harvard Space University. Okay. I had to do an operation k number of times, so I iterated from k1 to n and found the k which best suited. So this one was very simple, and I wonder if my solution was bad. I could have taken 2 seconds, and how much time did my solution take? It would be good if it took less than 200 milliseconds. It did took less than 200 milliseconds. That is cool. And this counting orders, what was this? Accounting order. I'm given A, B. Yeah. So this one was cool. This one was cool. I had to sort both of these and then traverse from maximum in B and see how many numbers I could possibly choose for any given number, and then go low and low and low, and then just multiply them and keep taking their modulo with 10 power 9 plus 7, which is prime and which is big. Then lunatic never content, not content, two different words with the same spelling and different pronunciation. Now it is not harbor anymore. This one, I was given this, I have to output left and right. Now, biggest X such that, yeah, in this question, someone from the chat helped me. Sachin Gon from the chat helped me in this question. I just had to iterate from every pair left and right and take their GCD, take their absolute difference and take their GCD. And the thing that I was messing up was that finding x, this x which is defined in this way of two numbers, and that would be the absolute difference between them. That was cool. Lunatic never content sort the subarray. I just had to find the one in this. I just had to find the first number that was different in A and B, and then if I did find such a number, then I would just go from that number to the left as far as I could and to the right as far as I could. That would be my answer. But if all the numbers were same in both the arrays, in that case I would find the biggest subsequence that is sorted in A, and that would be my answer. And in the last one, of course, this one right here, I just had to find the biggest sequence of one and then do this. Just then iterate through every possible combination of squares and find the one with the biggest area. So that is it for today. That would be it, and it has been 2 hours and 54 minutes. That is cool. Thank you for being here.